that a schematic diagram needs to be reused in several places. There are many different reasons for this. Sometimes, because of design requirements, you might need to create identical schematic diagrams and arrange them onto a polar grid. Although Altium Designer doesn't include a specific menu command for this, there are a couple of little tricks you can use to pull it off in a short space of time without requiring any new functions. In our example today, we're going to duplicate a schematic on the basis of multi-channel designs. This way, you can quickly and skillfully reproduce schematics as often as you like, with the added advantage that in a later version of your design, the placement and routing of one of these sheets can be transferred onto all other sheets. To illustrate this, I've slightly changed one of our example multi-channel designs. It now contains a schematic which is repeated in 5 channels. I then converted it into the PCB. An important thing to note is that transferring the placement and the routing of the individual schematic only works when they have the same orientation. Here I've reduced the multi-channel mixer to 5 channels instead of 8, and changed a room, which will act as my source according to the particular design idea I have. I now copy this arrangement onto the other channels using the command design, rooms, copy room formats. In the following settings, I'll activate all layers for the 5 channels to copy the placement and the routing, and I leave the rest of the settings at the default values. Because each channel has the same orientation, all rooms are copied perfectly. For the polar placement, I'm going to take advantage of a little trick contained in the paste special function. I first take a pad and then place it on our PCB, and then copy it. Under the command Edit Paste Special and the option Paste Array, I can place the pad in a circle with the correct distancing between. Since we have 5 rooms, I set the item count to 5 and let the array type as circular. The circular array itself will be set to 72 degrees. In this way I get the full 360 degrees for 5 channels. After starting the function, I select first the origin of the circle, and after that I set the start point. In this way I get 5 pads in a circular array. Since we do no longer need our starting pad, we can delete it. These pads now serve as orientation points for the arrangement of our rooms. While pressing the left mouse key, I now drag the room into the desired position. In order to be able to rotate the rooms correctly to their orientation regarding the pad's orientation, we have to change a little setting in our preferences first. Therefore, I go into the menu DXP, Preferences, and choose the section PCB with its subfolder General. I now change the rotation step from its default values of 90 degrees to our 72 degrees from the pads. By pressing OK, I accept these changes for my design. While dragging the room at its corner, we can now rotate it by pressing the space bar. Notice that the room now rotates in an angle of 72 degrees, which is exactly what we need. I'll now place the rooms at the different pads with always one rotation step difference. As a last step, we can delete the pads since we only needed them for the placement. And now we are already finished with our circular placement for the rooms. Alternatively, I can simply set up a polar grid and work directly of the axes for the placement. Over the menu Design, Board Options and the entry Grids, I open the Grid Manager in which I have already prepared a polar grid. I'll activate this grid now, and with a double click I open the properties. I set the steps at 72 degrees like in our rotation, and I set the other settings in a way it would have a good look in this big PCB. After accepting the changes, I can then see the polar grid in our big PCB. Now we can drag the rooms at their corners and arrange them very easily on our polar grid. You can see that the room is only snapping to the polar grid snap points, and it's now very easy and comfortable to place the room at their desired locations onto the polar grid. At last we now can place our rooms in the polar grid, so it gets a complete nice pizza shape. Should you subsequently need to make the copy room format function again, please take special care first to the orientation of the rooms. You have to rearrange them at the side of the board again and give them the same orientation first, like we did it at the beginning of this design secret. After that you can easily replace them again in the design. This completes our design secret for today.